There used to be a time when I used to dread going to work. From the second I woke up, I would feel my stomach churning, especially on Sunday evenings. And I know most people feel this. It is something that is indescribable. You feel like you're starting school for the first time, or you're doing something really scary for the first time. And it doesn't need to be like that. The important thing is that we can control how we feel. You know, there are so many external circumstances that really impact our mental health and well-being. I've just finished for the week with my clients, all of whom are employed by various employers around the country. And the main topic has been stress at work. We've, of course, dealt with other stuff. And what saddens me, even after 30 years of doing this work, is that people are still experiencing what I experienced years and years ago, which is that dread, that illness, that stress-related discomfort in their lives, in their health, because of work, because of management, because of the culture where it feels like you're going into a battle zone, okay? And obviously what helped me, and I know that not many people have this option, neither did I, but what helped me was leaving. I had no choice but to decide, okay, for the sake of my mental health and well-being, for the sake of my life, I need to sort this situation out. I need to get out of this, okay? And it took some time, but what I did, the very first thing I did was I started breaking up my day into bite-sized chunks that were manageable and copable. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about how I did that and how much it helped. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so one of the first things I did was I started making sure that I got to work on time. Not too early, obviously not late, but on time. Okay, so if I was early, I would walk around the block. I would smell the roses if I could find any. Okay, but it was my time to do some breathing exercises. Okay, and a simple breathing exercise is becoming aware of your breathing. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, let go for 4 counts. Hold your breath for 4 counts. And you repeat that. Okay, and when you're focusing on your breathing, you're not going to be focusing on anything else. You're going to be calling your energy back to yourself. Okay, the other thing I would do is I would mindfully walk. I would be very, very mindful of how I was walking, what my feet were feeling, how big or small my steps were, how fast or slow my steps were. Okay, and that again allowed me to come back into my own body rather than my brain being out there, you know, literally holding its ears and screaming, running around. Okay, that's our nervous system being hijacked by worry and stress. Okay. The other thing I did was once I got into work, I had a ritual. So I'd open my bag, get my notebook out, get my pens out, and my pens were my connector. Okay, as you will see in my videos, I love my pens. They have their own series, or they will do. Okay, so that was a little ritual for me to ground myself at my desk. All right, I would check my diary, see what's going on. I would see when I was on call for that day, and I would start figuring out how I was going to deal with the day. Okay, and that included looking at when my breaks were. and I would take my break away from my desk. That was a game changer. Okay? Whether it was a little tea break or whether it was my lunch break, it would be away from my desk, because I remember wolfing food down at my desk during my lunch break just in case a client would call. Okay? I worked in a call center as a counselor. I used to take calls from very, very distressed clients. Okay? So obviously, as the trained counselor, I wanted to be available to help those people when they called in. Okay? And one of the issues was, whilst I was taking care of my clients, the organization's clients, they weren't my clients. Okay? But in my mind, as a counselor, they were my clients, my responsibility. Okay? What I didn't realize was nobody was taking care of me. It was literally me. So whether I had a distressing call, you can imagine the kinds of calls that used to come in, okay, from mild anxiety all the way to, I don't know how I'm going to stay alive another hour, okay? I never knew what was coming down the phone every time it rang, okay? And I did this for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So eating at my desk was a horrible, horrible habit. And it was something that I felt was expected of me, okay, even though I wasn't paid for my lunch breaks. Okay, but I wanted to be a good team player. I wanted to pull my weight and, be a good employee. All right. And I had to get to a point where I had to draw the line and say, hang on a minute, let me revisit my contract. Because if I'm 3 minutes late, you are on me as if I'm some, truant little school child. You diminish my being, okay, because I'm 3 minutes late, because of situations out of my control. There were days, when it was a hard, hard job to get on the DLR because you could not get through the door, all right? And I wasn't going to endanger my life or anybody else's, trying to squeeze in, that one extra person, whatever. So I'd wait to take the next one, which meant being a little bit late, okay? And inevitably, I was eating at my desk, I would give the minutes back and so forth. So I never counted the extra minutes I used to stay during my lunch break because I was still on the call to a very distressed client, or at the end of the day when I should have finished 20 minutes ago. I never counted that. I used to be miffed because if I was late to the DLR station, I'd miss my train, I'd have to wait another 20 minutes for the next one. Okay? So all of those times mounted up. And one day I thought, screw this. I've had a set of really hard calls. I need some fresh air. So off I took, went out, got some lunch, and then instead of coming back to my desk, I just walked around the docks. And I found a place to sit and enjoy my, focaccia with salad. And I went back to work, and the afternoon didn't feel like cement around my ankles and me drowning, because that's what it used to feel like. The day used to feel so long. And I didn't clock it for the first few times. All I realized was that I'd had my lunch, I'd had a break, I'd come back, and it was like, oh, I've only got 4 hours left, or I've only got 5 hours left, okay? And eventually I clocked it. It was like, oh, by going out to lunch, I'm splitting my day in half. So it doesn't feel like 8, 9, 10 hours or a 12-hour shift. It feels like, a little bit in the morning and a little bit in the afternoon. Okay? So that's the point here. Have lunch outside. Even if you go and sit in your car and listen to your favorite music. Okay? Change what's going on in your brain. Change the space you are in. Okay? Because that is a little bit of a holiday for your brain. That's a little bit of respite for you. Okay? So we're doing mindfulness before we start. We are doing box breathing. Okay? The 4, 4, 4, 4. That's called box breathing. And you can use any number, by the way. Okay? So you can start with 4 breaths. You can start with 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever works for you. Okay? The other thing is to stop for a moment between tasks. Whenever you can, and set a little timer. Every 15 minutes, if you're able, stop for 1 minute. Okay? Down tools, close your eyes, do your box breathing. And now we're adding a little bit of gratitude. Okay, we are hacking our brains. We are going to that place of joy where we forcefully take our brain and think about something good that's happening in our lives. That's really, really important because instantly your whole system changes. There's a sense of peace. There's a sense of connection with the universe when we give gratitude. Okay, I've got goose pimples as I'm talking about this. That's energy. Okay, wow. And, we're connecting with this universal energy when we say thank you. Thank you for that lovely lunch break. Thank you that the train was on time. Thank you that my car started on the first go. Thank you that the kids were easier to deal with this morning. Thank you that I've got a gentler day. Okay, whatever you are grateful for, thank you for my dear friends who love me. Thank you for this pen that works. Okay? Whatever it is, go to a place of gratitude. Create a little domain, a little world in your brain where you can go and sit for that 1 minute. Breathe in the fresh air in your little world. Offer gratitude. Okay? Take a deep breath and then you come back to your work. And as you do that more and more, it will become automatic. And what that will do is that will start rewiring your brain to focus on the positive. Okay, when we are under immense stress, whether it's from work, our relationships, finances, home issues, elderly parents, whatever it is, we are human. We are engaging in the act of being human. Okay, so no judgments in whatever is going on for you, right? We are all going through something in our individual lives. Okay? So when you go to that little world you've created, okay, and you might be thinking, what the hell are you talking about, Bhavna? Okay, my little world, and I do this with clients, we create a little space in our minds, okay? For some, it's sitting in a bubble, a beautiful, shiny rainbow bubble. Okay, where the air is beautiful and you can have your plants, or your bubble can be a forest. Mine is. Okay, I've got a beautiful oak tree and I go and sit by it and there's a little stream and I listen to the stream and I can feel the sunshine on me, and just beyond the stream is a field. okay? And beyond that is an ocean, right? So when I'm stressed out and my brain says, time out, I close my eyes and I go there, I sit next to my tree and allow it to hold me, okay? And I breathe in that fresh air. I listen to the stream. I see the sunlight dancing like diamonds on the water, okay? And I let my gaze float to the field and I see little red dots of poppies. And beyond that, I can see the blue horizon of the ocean. Okay, now as I've described that to you, how do you feel? I hope a little bit rested. Okay, your bubble could be your favorite memory from a holiday. Okay, your favorite meal on a holiday, your favorite achievement in the world. It could be your kids or grandkids or your pet, your fur baby. It doesn't matter. Okay, what matters is you're mindfully, purposefully taking your brain from a place of dark, dingy distress to light. And you're actively choosing to make that choice. Okay? That's the magic. It's from darkness to light. It's that process. And the more you do it, the more hardwired it becomes. Okay? Think of somebody you love, because that's the fastest way of changing your heart center. If it's feeling heavy or sad, think of someone or something or somewhere that you love. Okay? And that will change your body's physiology, right? Because all our thoughts are encoded in our body as chemical signatures. All right? And when we think about it, we're bringing it, from the basement up to the command center, up to our brain, by actively thinking about something. Okay? And we're allowing ourselves to process it. Right? When I run my writing workshops, my journaling workshops, my inner child workshops, okay, we really focus on this process of bringing all those boxes of stuff that we carry around to the command center, and we go through it and we figure out what's going on. Why are we carrying this stuff around? Okay, so very quick recap: box breathing in the morning or whenever you like, but in the morning as you're getting to work, or before you start your work if you're working from home. Okay, be mindful in your walking. Okay, even if you're just coming to your desk in your house. All right, take short breaks, 1-minute breaks every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, every half an hour, if you can. Okay, close your eyes, deep cleansing breath. Okay, because one thing when we're sitting around, especially at our desks, right now, if you're watching this at your desk, just freeze, close your eyes and become aware of how you're sitting. Are you sitting upright, with chest open, fresh air going in? Or are you curled over and sitting like a prawn? Okay, which is it? Right? If you're sitting like a prawn, you're constricting your chest. Okay, and you're not breathing properly, shallow breaths, right? So if you find yourself sighing a lot, stop sitting like a prawn, straighten up. Okay, adjust your chair. Okay, open the chest. Take deep breaths, deep cleansing breaths. Okay, that really helps with the stress. Okay, so where were we? We've done our box breathing, we've done our mindful walking, we're taking short breaks and going to our beautiful little world that we've created where we can have a little bit of a holiday, even if it's 60 seconds. Okay, think about where you're having lunch today. I hope it's not at your desk. I don't care if the world is falling down. Okay? This is where you start making those difficult decisions. Okay? Where you start choosing you. And choosing you means go and have lunch somewhere else. Okay? Away from your desk, even if you have to stand in the corner and eat. Okay? Just, it's an act of rebellion. It's an act of sovereignty. Okay, I love that word. It's an act of sovereignty over your life and creating choices where you feel you may not have choices. Okay, that's really, really important, because change only happens when we make change. Change is not going to happen with a magic wand. Okay? That's not how it works. Change happens when we meaningfully, mindfully change things. And it can be something as small as breathing differently, sitting up. Okay? Giving yourself that break from overwhelm, stepping back in your mind, going to your little world, have a break, come back refreshed. Okay? And the first few times it may feel silly, excuse me, it may feel uncomfortable, it may feel as if you're going to get into trouble. Okay? If you get into trouble for taking a 60-second break to reposition yourself, to reset yourself, what kind of employer are you working for? Okay? That's really important, because the workplace is supposed to be somewhere safe that we go to and we do our job that we get paid for. Okay? One thing I learned, or I made a deal with myself, or an agreement, or an understanding a very, very long time ago, was that my employer doesn't owe me anything. Okay? My contract with my employer, the one I signed with all the job descriptions, is that I show up at the agreed time, do what I signed to do, and at the allotted time, go home. Okay? And my employer's job is to create an environment for me to work safely, physically and emotionally, and pay me at the end of the month as per our agreement. That is it. Your employer is not there to like you. Your employer is not there to baby you. Okay? Your employer absolutely, definitely, most certainly is not your best friend. Get that out of your mindset. All right? They are not there to be your besties, even if, you work with your besties. No, no. If anything goes wrong, they will change attitude so fast. Your jaw will crack as it hits the ground. Okay? Your besties are outside. The real people who give a damn about you. The people who will phone you if they haven't seen you for a little while. Okay? Not people who are going to see that your desk is empty for 1 day, 2 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months. And they may ask, have you heard from so-and-so? Where's the phone call to find out where you are, how you are, what the hell is going on? And can I do anything for you? Do you need any shopping? Can I bring some food over? Would you like to go for a coffee and a walk and a chat? Where are those phone calls? Those are your besties. Those are your best friends. Having worked with my over 22,000 clients now over the last 30 years. I've heard such horror stories, and I've experienced them myself. This is why I run my own business, because I cannot and will not be employed by anybody else ever again, so help me God. Okay, I've had such horrific, abusive experiences that caused me to have 2 burnouts. Okay, and I was left alone, not one card, not one phone call apart from HR checking up. Okay, nothing. And these were people I was working with, 40 hours a week, right? Sitting on the tables next to me and in front of me. Nobody cared, nobody missed me. Nobody wondered where I was. Yeah? Okay, so by all means, go to work. Enjoy it, because that's what it's about. Okay, part of our humanness is we want to create, we want to flourish, we want to excel at whatever we do. Whatever it is that you do. Okay, and get that good feeling at the end of the day or at the end of the project of self-worth. I feel really good I did this. I'm really proud of myself. We need to have that sense of achievement. Otherwise, we're just cogs in a machine. Okay? And as human beings, we are not here to be cogs in machines. Okay? So I hope that's helped you. And I hope that you are able to put the breathing, the walking, the short breaks, the lunches into action. Okay? And finally, when you finish your work, okay, organize your desk so that it's ready for you as a gift tomorrow morning. Okay, so it's a gift to your future self. And as you make your way home, or you're closing down your home office, okay, just quietly, mindfully debrief yourself. What was good? What didn't quite work as you wanted it to? What caused you stress? Okay? Deal with it as you walk home, so that by the time you touch your gate or you touch your key to put it in the door, all of the work stuff stays outside. Okay? And if you're somebody who wears a name badge or a tie or some significance, some symbol, not significance, some symbol of work, all right, take the tie off, hang it on the metaphorical tree branch outside, take your badge off, put it in your pocket. You are no longer on duty. Okay? In the Bible it says, shake the dust from your feet. So we can use that as changing from work to home. Okay? Because remember, once you leave work, you are not being paid to think about work. It's that simple. It's that simple. I can get boisterous about this. I can do a 2-hour talk about this. Okay? And I'm not anti-work. I've been doing this for 30 years. I love it. I can't imagine doing anything else but on my terms. I am no longer going to be abused by an employer that demands everything for me for nothing. Okay? So very, very simply, do the things that we've talked about. Okay? Box breathing, mindfulness, taking a break, having proper lunch, and have nourishing lunch. Okay? Treat yourself. Don't rely on crap. This body is a magnificent blessing. It is a magnificent gift, and it is fully functioning and self-healing. All right? All that is asked of us is that we do everything to take care of it. Okay, so eat properly, eat well, lay off the coffees. Go and do some research on what coffee does to your body. It's not your friend. Okay, have 1 or 2 a day, but don't have it in an IV drip. Okay, it really F's up your adrenal glands, and that has long-term impacts later on in life. Okay, and just start looking at what you can make changes in your life, and you will see the benefit yourself. Okay, I'm here sitting as proof of having done all of those things, because it allowed me to reclaim my time, my energy, okay, my mental well-being, by stopping every 15, 20, 30 minutes and going to my little space and breathing and just allowing myself to be calm. All of those little visits to my beautiful space allowed me to create another space of, okay, this isn't working for me, so what can I do? Okay, so those little breaks were in service of me and my future self. All right, and that is very, very important. Yeah, because, like Einstein said, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Nothing will change. Okay? So I will stop there. Thank you for watching. Please, please like, share, follow, help me grow this channel. And if I can help you, please get in touch. Okay, my name is Bhavna, and I'm a BACP accredited psychotherapist, coach, clinical supervisor, and critical incident debriefer. Okay, so if I can help you or your organization, please do get in touch. And if you found this helpful, please share it with your family and friends. Okay, let them start getting these tips, and maybe you can create a little group of your own to hold yourself accountable. That would be so cool. Okay, and if you have, please share in the comments. That would be lovely to hear. Okay, and take very, very good care. Okay, you've got this. All right? God bless. Take care.